Look at me, people. Look at me right in the eyes. Don't make that sound sexy. Just kidding. Now, have you ever thought that perhaps Streets of Rage 3 was the only game in existence that had furious, balls to the walls, action-packed, intense gameplay of the beat-em-up variety? Well, guess what? I'm here to tell you today that you are basically 100% wrong on that aspect, because I now introduce unto you Streets of Rage 2 on the Sega Master System. So one of the first things that you're noticing while you're watching the intro is nothing really. It's pretty much exactly the same as the Genesis version. So you're thinking to yourself, it's not going to be half bad, right? It doesn't look like it's going to be. It resurrects its evil power. Its evil power of fine graphics, display, and detail. Honestly, the storylines for these have never been the greatest. No fighting game storyline has ever been really that great, honestly. In fact, I think this might be the worst storyline ever. But that's just my opinion. So they basically kidnapped Adam and they're holding him hostage. And his friends have to go save him. But let's face it, Adam's no Jessica. And what the heck is with you in the first game, and he's literally supposed to be the powerhouse. So this just puts him to shame, I think. And so here we have it, Streets of Rage 2, Sega Master System, push start button. All this stuff, amalgamating, it just has to measure up to be badass, right? Well, you're dead wrong. You are dead wrong. Right off the bat, we notice that the characters' graphics are of absolute suckage and suckitude. And, of course, Max was taken right out of the roster. This is just basically an example of a game trying to fit way too much into a system that is basically the equivalent of a Game Boy or an NES, which only has 2 buttons. Look at Axel right there. It looks like he's having a spasm. I mean, perhaps if they had just made the sprites a little larger, they could have added a little more animation onto that. But no. Axel Stone, Blaze, Fielding, and Skate Hunter. But no Max. And I'm not a big fan of Max, but you gotta have your gorilla wrestler fighters in there somewhere, and this just didn't deliver in that department. Let's start this thing with Blaze. Because honestly, this thing is nearly unplayable with the other characters. They're probably thinking to yourself, screw this guy. I'm going to eat chickens and apples out of trash cans whenever the heck I want. I don't need this guy telling me when I can and can't do that. Well, let me just eliminate that need for you. You know, I'm making this game look pretty good right here at the beginning. But it gets worse. It's just a facade. Bear with me here. I think I kind of like the background of this stage a little more because it's gray and not green, which is a weird color for an alleyway, even if they're bricks. I don't care if the excuse is that they are bricks. Alleyways look weird and green. And call me crazy, but I think I like the music of the Sega Master System version more than the actual Genesis version itself. But that's not saying much when you try to get down to the gameplay. Know why I had that chicken right there? Because Jack the Ripper is coming straight out of the Genesis version, out for blood. And I mean for blood. Look how disproportionate his sprite is. It's so large in comparison to Blaze. I know he was large in the other game, but this is ridiculous. And look at that, he can loop. He can loop at you right into the wall. Thankfully, he'll stop at the wall. Otherwise, you'll still be dead in like 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. This is ridiculous. This is poor, and this is ass all at once. I suppose they do make him look a little bit like Johnny Test right there in Rhinestones, but that doesn't unfortunately make the game any better as a whole. It certainly doesn't mitigate the pain you feel while you're playing this lump of garbage. This lump of garbage that you must associate with the name of Streets of Rage, but just can't, because you know you would be disgracing the series if you did that. Fudge Muffins has taken like every single ounce of my strength to defeat it. Look at that. Look at that. Grab the knife off the ground. You shouldn't even have to make a strategy like that. What kind of broken junk is this? Here we proceed to the bar. with numerous chairs that won't break, but are seamlessly integrated right into the background. Ooh, technological. But you can, however, hit the tables. What happened to hittable chairs? I know you could hit the chairs in the bar in the Genesis version, so what is this? See, now I'm dying way faster than your average Streets of Rage 2 playing human. Because yes, lizards do happen to play this game too, and boy, do these lizards want warmth. This game provides no warmth! Oh my god! Look at that! Literally almost raped, and I need the apple. Do you really remember this many punks in the bar wearing pink? These biker-looking wannabe punks who don't even ride bikes? I mean, the nerve of these punks, for lack of a better word. Here I type in a very classy name for myself. Because Christ, does this game deserve it. Essentially, you get trapped between two people, you can kiss half of your life bar goodbye. Electra will be cheap. Look at this. Look at this. She turned into a bunny hopper. A blonde, bimbo, bunny hopper whore bitch. And now I move on. That could have went on a lot longer. The first thing you'll notice right in that alleyway, no rain. Happy days are here again. I even like the backgrounds. But what is this? Do you remember having to beat punks up? And one of them's carrying a knife, so I guess that might be a welcome change of pace to you. But to me, that's just no continuity whatsoever from the actual Genesis game. They're trying to keep it continuous. And the music in this part is actually laughable. It sounds very similar, but holy heck, man. I mean, this is what the Sega Master System is capable of producing. And I know Barbin was freaking cheap as heck before. Oh, but now he's gone to a new low with that kick of his. And you know, that is pretty much just as bad as Jack. I'd rather be fighting Barbin, of course, than Jack. That doesn't make Barbin any better to fight in this regard. They keep the stage clear music pretty much the same, so that's a good thing. What the hell did they do to the bridge level? Were they even trying anymore? No, they were not trying. They were sleeping with their face on the keyboard when they were programming this. And they thought, ooh, we're gonna like how this will rape the player, so let's keep it in. We'll rape with their mind, their eyes, and their pride, and their dignity. Do you remember this from your childhood? I remember playing Streets of Rage 2 from my childhood on a cabinet, and then playing it on the Sega Genesis. Those were the greatest days of my life. I don't exactly recall getting raped by these biker dudes, these shirtless biker dudes no less, and wearing helmets. Freaky weird. Like, holy hell, how does wearing a helmet give you red eyes? Poor Sammy, no range whatsoever. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry that he must be raped by biker dudes. See? Spin and kick special attack. That is what I am forced to use because the game is just so goddamn cheap. What were they thinking with this thing? What were they thinking? We will never know. I, for one, do not want to find out. You've got bridge music in the background, but you have an alleyway for a background. What is wrong with this picture? Even Streets of Rage 1 looked better than this on the Genesis. Of course it was on the Genesis, but it looked similar to this, but it looked better than this, and I would rather play Streets of Rage 1. Streets of Rage 1 gave you at least somewhat of a fighting chance. This game kind of does that too. If you're exactly precise. And you will never be exactly precise with the Sega Master System. I don't even remember a lot of the titles for the Sega Master System. I never exactly owned it, but I know for a fact that, the Sega Master System had a lot of shovelware titles just like NES, maybe even more so. And the only game that I recall that was ever actually any good, that I actually know of, that was made for the system, was Tom and Jerry the movie. Everything else was just a watered-down thing of an arcade thing, like Moonwalker. Holy crap, I am being raped by these Metal M Sugar sons of bitches right here. Ladies in Red, that bunny hop. Do you remember Ladies in Red bunny hopping you into submission on an alleyway with a deactivated neon sign that had bike-level music in the background? I don't think so. Game over. And that is what the whole game amounts to. The whole thing, in its entirety. Do I really need to go any further on this? This has to be one of the worst games I've ever played. Or at least one of the worst downports. And on that note, I leave you. Goodbye. Perhaps I will do more reviews in the future.